Hello, and welcome to Lunch Therapy. This is Lunch Therapy. Internet's weird today. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm broadcasting live stand-up comedy from here in Los Angeles, the narcissistic capital of the world. We have a thing called Laugh Therapy, which is a show in Echo Park, and it usually happens every third Saturday of the month. We have some of the best LA comedians there, and we're not having it this weekend, which is just, it sucks. My co-producers Cynthia Levin and Harlan Gleason, we're all very sad because we can't present this this month, but so I'm doing lunch therapy here every noon, every day. We're going to do this just a little bit of stand-up, a little lighten up lighten up your day. And there's a chat room, and you can chat in there and give me suggestions. And it's going to be a fun time. We don't have a lot of chat people as of yet because I have not notified enough people. Perhaps I'm going to try to notify some people while doing stand-up. So I'm doing two things at once. Which is always fun because that's what we do here in Los Angeles. We don't just do one thing. We do like 10 different things. Everybody comes here. Most people come here because they want to be an actor, right? I mean, I think. A lot of people, they want to work in the film industry. A lot of actors. And, you know, we come here and we're just excited. We're excited. We want to do the acting thing. But a lot of us are maybe a little bit idealistic, or maybe we're maybe not as aggressive as we need to be. Yeah, internet's just dropping out. We're having the Seattle freeze here. So I'm from Seattle, and that's why I'm freezing, because that's what they do in Seattle. I might have to try this a different way, because this is crazy. This is just me doing weird like things. Yeah, weird. This is not working that well. I'm watching the live stream at the same time to see what's happening, and this is just a mess. I'm going to have to maybe try something different. Technical difficulties. All right. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if it's going to work today. So anyway, I'm from Seattle. Seattle is the passive-aggressive capital of the world. There's only two other places perhaps more passive-aggressive than Seattle, and that's, they're both called Portland. In Los Angeles, we have a saying, it's just choppy. I see that, yeah. So I have, people in the chat room telling me they're choppy. They said, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. It's just a little choppy. We're just dealing with a little bit of choppy weather here. So yeah, so there's two places that are the most passive-aggressive in the country. They're both named Portland. Portland, Oregon. I think that Los Angeles should have an intervention on Portland, Oregon. Let me see. Yeah, so I think it ought to have maybe an intervention, because this is crazy. Okay. I don't know if it's going to work. Anyway, I'm back. Because I think that Portland, Oregon, they have some troubles there. They have because every store is either a dispensary or a bar or a coffee shop. So I think that they have some substance abuse problems. And, it needs to get rectified. We need to have an intervention. We need to go up there from Los Angeles. I think that they have, like, a lot of depression maybe up there, because it's always gloomy, rainy, and they need something other than heroin to lift their spirits. So they do a lot of coffee. I went into a store, and it was a store where they just sold leather purses and things. Really nice place. Not, expecting to get a cup of coffee, but Yet they had a huge espresso machine, and they served me coffee while I looked at I looked at the leather purses, right? So everybody's just jacked up. They're jacked up on coffee there. And so when they're not, so then after they get all jacked up, I think they have to go to a bar and drink some depression drinks, just to get them kind of back to middle. And then maybe even go to a dispensary and toke it up there. And then perhaps they can go about their day and get another cup of coffee. Just coffee, coffee, coffee. I went into a bar there, and they served me a cup of coffee. You can never get a good cup of coffee in a bar. But I went into a bank. It said bank on the outside. And I go in there, and once I walk in, it's a coffee shop. It's almost like a trap. You go in there, and there's a barista there, and they're trying to sell you coffee. And I'm like, what? Isn't this a bank? And I got freaked out. I ran out just like screaming. And I went to the next store that was right next door, and luckily, it was a coffee shop. They had a sign there that said, coffee shouldn't just be a habit, it should be an experience, right? So I go into the coffee shop, and I'm like, what's going to happen? Is this what's a coffee experience? Is it going to rain coffee? Is there going to be like a big pool of coffee that you like swim around in? Is it like a coffee enema, perhaps? One of our chat people, happens to be my wife, says coffee is great for the bowels, apparently. I don't know. I don't think they have any bowel problems up there in Seattle. In fact, in Portland. In fact, in Seattle, Puget Sound is full of coffee because of the bowels. Because I guess they dump their sewage or something, and there's a caffeine level is so intense there in Puget Sound that you can just go out there and just put a cup in and you're ready to go. CBD coffee with a shot of heroin and vanilla was another suggestion from the chat room. So anyway, so I'm in the place. I'm ready for the coffee experience. I'm thinking maybe it's an enema or something, and I started taking my pants off because if you're going to have a coffee experience, I imagine it's going to be pantless. So I just start taking my pants off, and the guy behind the bar is like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Wait a minute, there, pal. You can't take your pants off in a coffee shop. But if you do, let me get you a cup of coffee." So he made me a cup of coffee. It's hard to know when to take your pants off these days. I see in the chat room somebody says neti pot coffee. That's great. I've never tried that. Neti pot coffee. A neti pot of coffee. And then you just put it right up in your nose there. People put other stimulants up their nose. Why not coffee? People put tobacco up their nose. People put, remember snuff? Snuff was kind of a thing in my high school for a while because everybody was chewing tobacco. Everybody, because I guess we were just like hicks or something like that. Everybody was chewing tobacco and, had a big dip like that. And I tried to chew tobacco. They chewed Copenhagen tobacco, which is really, I guess it's pretty strong. So I tried that, but my problem was I tried it. Well, I used to play the French horn, and I was in the band, and I took a big, I was in the band. We're in like a concert, right? And I put a big dip in of Copenhagen tobacco. And the problem is you got to spit. You got to spit somewhere. So I had like a little cup going and stuff, and I'm spitting in there. And the girl next to me, the second chair French horn, maybe she was the first chair, she said, "What are you doing? What do you got in your mouth?" And I was worried, that I'd get expelled or something like that, so I just swallowed it. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever swallowed a big wad of Copenhagen, but it is an uncomfortable feeling. Oh, man, I got so stressed out that I needed to, the chat room says, would you sun your perineum while your pants are off? Yeah, so I got so stressed out that I needed to sun my perineum. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Sunning your perineum, I think, has to do with, there's a fad now where you go out in the sun and you, I don't know, bend over or something and you sun your perineum. What is a perineum anyway? No one knows. No one knows. They used to have that thing, it's called a taint, in between your asshole and your balls. I don't know. I guess it's not a kid show anymore. Sunning your perineum might be like sunning your asshole. Do you hear about these people that sun their assholes? It's disgusting. They go out there, and apparently, like, everybody got sunburned. Everybody got sunburned. It is the taint. The taint. Oh, the perineum is the taint. Okay. Yeah, it needs sun. Let's face it. It needs sun. And if it never gets sun, I mean, if it needs sun, if it indeed needs sun and it never gets sun, I mean, it will never. I mean, never. Never do you take your taint out there to get suntan. No wonder it gets burned. It's just not, it hasn't really evolved. Hasn't really evolved. Yeah, some people bleach that area. Right, that's the other suggestion from the audience that I thought people wanted to bleach that area. Yep, Tanya's on there. We're going to be doing, Tanya and I are going to be doing a live Instagram stream after this. Another comedy adventure that we can all have together. In this is comedy in the time of Corona. I don't know if that's a reference to the book Love in the Time of Cholera. I believe that's Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I don't know. I want to take this moment now to do some shout-outs. I want to shout out to Jimmy Shin, who's always been a big supporter of my comedy, as choppy as it may be on the internet. Yeah, Jimmy Shin, big supporter of my comedy. I've always enjoyed doing comedy with him. We're all going through some tough times right now because how do you do comedy without an audience? I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But anyway, Jimmy on Facebook today had a fantastic post about how when he was in the housing boom, he was like a housing tycoon up in Seattle doing the housing thing, and all of a sudden, the bottom dropped out of that. He was sitting with, it was like musical chairs, he was sitting with a few houses. They had like a couple of houses and a condo on Lake Washington, and apparently the bottom dropped out of the market, and all of a sudden he lost everything. He lost his fortune that he had built, and he also lost, he had to sell his furniture apparently, and it was just a shit show. But, he bounced back. That's the thing about, people are like, America is really not ready for this coronavirus, and we're not. And we're a bunch of dummies. And apparently there are people down in Florida having their spring break and doing that whole thing going, we don't care. And there is definitely a kind of an attitude in the United States, sort of that cowboy attitude where nothing can stop me from riding the range. I don't know what I'm talking about. But we have that kind of like mentality that we're tough. And, being tough is one thing. But you got to remember that if you go out there and you try and mingle with other people and you don't follow the rules, we could end up with other people getting sick, not just you. I mean, you might be able to withstand the coronavirus. But anyway, like Ganel G told me, don't talk too much about the damn coronavirus because this is comedy. But comedy thrives in the darkness. It's like cockroaches. Comedy is like cockroaches. It just thrives in the darkness, and that's when it gets all its nourishment, and that's when it eats its souls. Let me go to the chat room here and see their favorite restaurant sent home a roll of TP and Corona with our last takeout last night. See, now that's comedy. What you're doing, but I saw, yeah, pictures of you in that restaurant. Stay away from that. I mean, I feel bad, but I feel bad. We all feel bad. Hopefully we don't feel worse, right? Anyway, so I was thinking about, you know how like our parents, I think we have a lot of, sometimes a lot of resistance when people tell us what to do. Okay, now it's stopped completely. I'm just waiting for it to catch up. No, I can't wait. I can't wait for this technology. Anyway, just going to keep going on. Just going to keep going on. It'll come through at some point, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what this newfangled technology. I usually know about this stuff, but right now I'm at kind of a loss, kind of frozen in time. Seattle freeze, we mentioned that earlier. Seattle freeze is when people move up to Seattle, they get frozen out by the people there. The people out there just say, nope, I'm not going to talk to you. How about that? How do you like that? I'm not going to talk to you because you're not from here. And I think, you know, that probably comes across as not very kind, right? Not very kind. Sometimes we get so proud about our place. You know, we think we're on some kind of team. We think because we're from a certain place, we're on a team. And everybody else outside of our team, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not invited. We have to freeze them out. And that's a terrible mentality. And it's in times, you know, times like these where you really think, well, maybe that's not the best plan. You know, I think it comes from the idea of tribes. You know, we used to have tribes. We used to have to band together to support one another. And now my live stream is completely offline. So I'm going to try and fix it